What's up, y'all? We're about to set an airspeed record in a Cessna 185 Skywagon from Lubbock International to St. Louis downtown. Gotta love some Skywagon time. And want to show you guys why I like this 185 so much. This thing absolutely rips. We're going from Lubbock International to St. Louis downtown, about 640 nautical miles. We're rocking along, 155 plus knots, true airspeed, 11.5. We do have a nice tailwind. Below 65% power, so we can put that mixture anywhere you want. CHTs are all below 380, nice and cool. And it's showing we're going to land with 13 to 15 gallons. It's kind of bouncing around as we get a few updrafts and downdrafts. But just pretty amazing this airplane can land in under 400 feet and still have that kind of performance and carry that kind of load and have that kind of speed. And another thing is with the 550, I've heard people say in the forums that the 470, it's more fuel efficient. That's really not true. All these piston engines are about the same. They have the same specific fuel consumption. You get a fuel injected, I imagine it's a little bit more efficient. But a 470 is not more efficient than a 550. The difference is going to be that an airplane with a 470 is probably a little bit lighter, and so that will make a difference. But what people forget to think about is brake horsepower. If you're pulling 24-24 in a 550 and 24-24 in a 470, you're not pulling the same amount of horsepower. You can be in the airplane with the bigger engine and just pull the power back and pull less brake horsepower if you want to slow down. And the 550 just gives me the option. 150 plus knots at 15.7 gallons an hour is pretty incredible. And with this fuel injection right out of the box, I can go lean a peak if I want to. If I even want to get more efficient, let's see what that'll do. I'm doing 152 right now. And I know ballpark, I'm going to need to get back to probably 11.5 gallons an hour at this altitude and this power setting. And I'm going to start creeping on back with that mixture. I'm just slowly dialing it back. And as we see him get on the lean side, there's 11.5. We got one that's still on the rich side. And again, because we're such a low power setting at this altitude, we're not pulling that much manifold pressure. We could just run this thing at peak. And if we get any kind of engine roughness, that's exactly what I would do. But let's see what this thing slows down to. I bet we'll settle in probably like around 140-ish knots true airspeed once we get slowed up. And here we are at 145. Now you can see our fuel at destination has jumped up 25, 26 gallons. We're still decelerating a little bit, so it'll probably settle in here in the low 140s. But you also notice that when we were running rich a peak, our CHT, hottest CHT was about 370. And when we go just barely on the lean side of peak, we're 366. And we should be dropping here a little bit with that last cylinder. Still doing 144 knots. And my CHTs are all coming down. So yeah, we added a few minutes to the trip, but nice way to bank an extra 12 gallons of fuel, and probably only cost us maybe 20 minutes. I didn't look at the exact time, but it's showing 4:05 to destination right now. And because I could make it rich a peak, I'm going to go rich a peak because that's just how I like to roll. When I'm in a hurry, I want to go fast. And when I'm not in a hurry, if I can make it not stop, and lean a peak's going to make the difference, I will go ahead and go lean a peak if it's going to make the difference in a fuel stop, and I want to go ahead and get home. So we'll go back rich a peak and see what this thing will do. Knock a few minutes off our trip. There we are back at 151 knots. So yeah, a couple minutes. Maybe it saves 10 or 15 minutes, but man, that lean a peak would have saved us 10 or 12 gallons of fuel. So good option if your injection is balanced and your airplane runs smoothly in a peak. But don't forget, 470 is a perfectly great engine. 520 is a great engine. 550 is a great motor. All these engines have about the same specific fuel consumption. You're just pulling a different brake horsepower.